Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing another Gold Conquest run. Today we're going to be doing it on my alternate account with a High Evolutionary Lockjaw deck. I actually don't own High Evolutionary on my primary account, only on this one. As far as Conquest mode goes, it's a very strong deck. It can be beaten, but the advantage that this one has is that it has very easy to read snap lines. You can determine pretty easily if you should snap, if you should retreat, and you can pump quite a bit of power onto the board. So let's go ahead and jump on into our first match. All right, so first up we have Lord? Ethereum? Lord Ethereum? I don't know how to read that name or pronounce it correctly, so I'm just going to say we have Ethereum. We have Eth. The first location is Dark Dimension. We do have Lockjaw in our starting hand. Let's go ahead and skip, see if we can get a little bit of information about their deck. Ooh, they're running a Lockjaw, or they're running a Thanos deck, which can be pretty scary. The Time Stone, they're going to have 3 energy here. They could have been just doing that for the draw, though. We don't have our Wasp for the guaranteed rotation with Lockjaw. I think we're just going to do Iceman into Vormir. We're going to get the Destroy out of the way. That way we can lean in and leverage that location with whatever resource we want. Now, I do like Iceman in this deck because if you're going into a mirror match against another Lockjaw, sometimes it's going to hit Lockjaw, and that's just going to make their game and their play lines brutal. Wait, they have a Captain America? Hold on. This is an ongoing Thanos? If we can get something to rotate here, we don't, but we do get Jane Foster. Ooh, we're going to shuffle our cards after this turn. As a Thanos player, it's very important for you to have your cards early and your card draw early. I think we're going to snap into the Atelan location. They could change it. Okay, they do decide to retreat. I figured that this location was going to be better for us than for them. Maybe not, but I do like to push the advantage where we can if we see a small glimpse of hope. We will take the early 1 cube. All that we know is they have a Captain America slotted to their deck. That tells me quite a bit. That tells me they probably have something like maybe Claw, Professor X, maybe even a Lockjaw to really push this ongoing. I assume they might have a Spectrum, maybe Khazar, maybe Dazzler, and they're looking to fill up the entire board. I think we have a pretty good shot against that. Those are all assumptions based on just seeing one card, though. And so the first location is the Bifrost. They play their Time Stone on turn 1 again, so they get an additional draw. Kunlun is going to be nice for anything from the Bifrost that moves over. We do have our Lockjaw in our starting hand, which is really strong. Depending on what we draw going into this next turn, we might snap into that. But they're also going to have quite a few cards, what it looks like, on the board to be able to push into Kunlun. They could even put a third one, maybe. Be a lot of extra power. As far as Lockjaw rotations go, they're not phenomenal here. We would be able to maybe rotate High Evolutionary next turn or just place it on the board. I'm going to stick this one out. I don't think there's a big enough advantage that it's going to scare me off just yet. They changed the right lane, okay, into Wakanda Embassy. They only get +2. We get a huge benefit from it. We will take that gladly. We draw into our Hulk, so all that's left are our low value, low cost cards. Unfortunately, we could rotate here. The chance of us drawing into something we don't want is just, I think, too high. The extra +2 on the High Evolutionary, I think, makes it worth our while or worth our time to just leave it on the board at 4/6. That's not a bad resource, especially when you're looking at a 1/2, a 0/1. Jubilee wouldn't be bad. Thor wouldn't be bad. But the other ones would not be great. They do cap out the Kunlun location, so we have a pretty precise amount of information, except if they have like a Claw. Claw could be pretty tough to manage. This is just so much power that I don't think we're going to be able to fight for. Let's go Jane Foster into the left lane. We will pull our Wasp. We can get 1 rotation from the Wasp, and then we'll see. We know that it's going to be a bad rotation, though. I don't know if we even rotate the Wasp or if we just Dr. Doom. I don't know. Let's go ahead and do the Jane Foster. We'll pull it out. It'll thin our deck. They do go ahead and use their Shang-Chi, so they give up that little bit of information. They probably could have taken us for 4 cubes had we not known that they had a Shang-Chi. And so the monster is big for them, though. Can we ever overcome this much power, though. So this is going to be a decent amount. I don't think it's worth it, though. We could Doctor Doom and go wide, but we don't have any way to overcome what they have. Go ahead and retreat out of this one. We will give them the 2 cubes. We're going to play it cautiously, play it strategically as we're filling out their deck. We know that they have the counterplay of a Shang-Chi, which doesn't make sense, or I wouldn't have assumed, seeing the rest of the deck, I wouldn't have assumed that a Shang-Chi would be in there. And so I'm glad that they used it early before it ended up being like a double cube type of scenario. Mojo World is decent for us as long as they don't have a Professor X. They could have a Professor X slotted somewhere, and that really steals a lot of the game for them. I'm going to go ahead and play our Iceman. Maybe we can disrupt it enough where they don't get very much draw. Okay, so they have Jubilee, or they have Nebula, not Jubilee. They have Nebula on the board. We won't be able to play there this turn. We couldn't have played regardless. And they snap into the Pet Mansion. I mean, we have our Lockjaw. Oh, okay, well, I guess the snap just took too long, I suppose. So they have the Time Stone, the Soul Stone. It's going to bump them up to 4 energy this next turn. So we don't have to worry about a Professor X lock just yet. But in general, a little bit scary. Vault now locks down after turn 5 or so on turn 6, which is so unfortunate. Oh no. Well, I guess we're not competing for the vault anymore. Having a Lockjaw, if we rotate into a Doctor Doom, I really like being able to hit that with an Odin to re-trigger it. And oh no, these locations are just not great for us. They play the Iceman, it hits our Jane Foster, so we are not going to be able to use that as a way to pull the Wasp, pull a Mjolnir out of our deck. We've drawn to Doctor Doom. So this is the second run in gold. The first one, we went down really, really early. Then we staged a 4-game comeback only to lose in the very last round. All right, so at this point, we're just, I guess, gathering information. Really all that we can do. We rotate into our Wasp. One of the lowest rolls we could hit, and we definitely hit it. They had the Devil Dino, so we have a little bit more information about that. And they play multiple cards here, probably. Do they? I don't know. We do the Doctor Doom, but that doesn't win for us. Let's go ahead and jump out of this one, jump into another one. We still have some room to work, but we are down very early, and it's very, very scary. Going into round 4, we are down, I think, 4 cubes. They're down only 1. And so we're going to need a little bit of luck where we can get it. Quantum Realm is decent for them. Having the stones, being able to play there. The Soul Stone is big. See you next time, Lord. So now we're going to jump into the double stakes rounds. We didn't have a great hand. We already had High Evolutionary. We had Iceman. But we didn't have any of our 3 costs, so we didn't want to risk it. The Rickety Bridge, if they do have Professor X, and they haven't shown us a lot of their deck yet. We are still uncertain about a lot of the key resources or key pieces of their deck. And so they could have Professor X and just steal the Rickety Bridge away from us. Weir Island is also great for them, being able to flood the board early. This looks like another rough one, you guys. We have both Doctor Doom and Odin. We have almost our entire bottom half of our deck. And nothing from the top half. We are going to play Thor. It's a pretty solid resource. We can buff it several times. We can get some additional benefit there. But it's looking pretty scary. They have the Mind Stone that they'll be able to lean in on. So they have 2 more stones now. Reality Stone, they can change the Rickety Bridge. Oh, so much value. All right, let's go with High Evolutionary, also into Muir Island. We're hoping to see Reality Stone ahead of time. They haven't snapped, and they can. I'm hoping that they don't remember that, because we're not in a good place right now. We don't have Jubilee to dig into our deck further. We don't have our good resources. It just looks really, really rough. Whenever you don't have those big enablers and you go down early, it's so hard to make a comeback. All right, so they do change Rickety Bridge, okay, into the Altar of Death. And they have the Reality Stone that stays there. We have Doctor Doom to be able to put power over there. Yeah. Still tough, though. Still really, really tough. All right, let's go Mjolnir. We're going to go Jane Foster. I guess we go Jane Foster here. Mjolnir will give us just a little bit of additional reach. Not that we're going to need it. On the last turn, we're just going to do our Dr. Doom. Go to impact multiple lanes. And they snapped. I feel like if we were going to risk it, we're going to risk it here. They have the Devil Dino and Xandar. Really, really big. They could have a Spectrum, which buffs this by 2, 4, 6. We know they have a Khazar, which buffs this by 3. It becomes really, really tough. We get an extra 5 in the Dr. Doom play. They could have Professor X, right? This could be where the Professor X comes into play. And they lock this in before Dr. Doom can trigger. All right, we're gonna risk it here. This is for our life. We'll see. The Magneto pulls the Thor, pulls the High Evolutionary. I don't know that we have enough, guys, in this lane. Oh wait. After Wasp triggers, we should have enough in both the left and the right lane. I think they celebrated a touch too early. We are able to hold down the 5-cuber. We now know they also have Magneto, which is a huge resource. Big surprise factor, especially with us having several 3 and 4 cost cards. They could always pull a Lockjaw from a lane and then force us to rotate our Hulk, get back in. I had given up our chance at life. I had given up our run. We were already looking at the next one and moving on to the next one. That one was intense. We have Lockjaw starting out. They are now down to their last 4 cubes. So if that happens one more time, we're in this. We're in this just like that. That big of a game. We are back in it. Oh my gosh, that was way too close. Way too close for comfort. The Magneto was definitely a surprising play. This entire deck, honestly, it's not a meta deck. It's definitely not a meta deck. It's hard to anticipate any piece of this. Hopefully this turns into something that just obliterates that Ant-Man. The Nexus is not what I would have hoped for. Oh, no. All right, so they can stack pretty tall. They have the Shang-Chi, which is going to prevent us from stacking tall. How do we navigate? I mean, they have Reality Stone. They can change the Nexus as well. Maybe like as a last resort or last turn type of thing. It's like that surprising play. Wow, the Isle of Silence comes down and derails their armor entirely. We finally get the Lockjaw Wasp rotation on turn 3. Our question now becomes, do we use this into the Nexus? No, we're not going to. There's too many chances for it to end up being a low lane. We're going to do it into the Isle of Silence. We have our only ongoing card here, and we could try to maybe save it for the last turn of the game. That way we can put a big burst and not be susceptible to Shang-Chi plays. I'm still thinking they probably have a Professor X somewhere, but we'll see. They have the Bishop, so now we're only missing 2 cards from what they have. Ooh, Jubilee is nice. Jubilee will dig into our deck further. We want that to happen. I would rather the Jane Foster to pull our Wasp out of our deck. We have 2 bad pulls here. I guess the other ones aren't terrible. Let's play Jubilee into the Crimson Cosmos. So far they haven't played any of their stones to generate additional draw. Okay. So now they have the Time Stone, they have the Power Stone. They could be looking to go Professor X plus something in the Nexus location. Oof. Which we have been avoiding the Nexus location, unfortunately. And so if they do that, oh, that's such a solid play. Like I can't even compete against it if that's what they end up going with. If they snap here, maybe we play it a little bit hesitantly. Maybe we retreat. Let's go ahead and rotate our Wasp. We're going to negatively afflict this lane a little bit. And then we're going to hope. Professor X plus a 1 cost, so Professor X Nebula here, I think wins them this round. We'll see. We will see. So they play 2 cards, one being, I guess first, what do we rotate in? Iceman. Iceman's not fantastic. Devil Dino's big. but we do have our Hulk that is 18 power. Their Devil Dino is not very big. Bad thing here is that if they change this location, do we win the other ones? I think so. So maybe it's not a bad thing. All right, let's go Hulk and rotation, Hulk and Wasp. So with the rotation, we could potentially hit +6 over here. We could potentially hit Dr. Doom, which would be more power in this lane. I think we go with Hulk and Wasp, though. We purposely positioned our cards away from the Nexus until this last turn so that if they change it, should be okay. If they don't, then we're not worried about a Shang-Chi, which is also why we didn't want like Jubilee or Thor in the Nexus location. Let's go ahead and see. We may go down to 1 cube here. We may not. Thanos is big, but our Hulk smash plus the Wasp is going to be just a little bit bigger, and we are able to breathe a sigh of relief because wow. That was a tough round, a tough match. Very well fought, Lord. That will bump us into round 2. That is the first victory, 1 of 3. Hopefully we get some easier matches from here on out, but if they're all like that one, this is going to be a grueling run. Let's go ahead and jump into battle 2. All right, so queuing up for battle 2. All right, next up we have Ricochet. We start off with Lockjaw for Jubilee, Jane Foster. This is one of the best starting hands we could ask for. The only thing better now could be that we draw into Wasp, we draw into Iceman. Otherwise, we are perfectly happy with the way this one started out. We're going against another Thanos list, which is so scary. So very scary. We draw into our Dr. Doom, so we won't be able to go extremely wide, unfortunately. Let's skip here, see if they play any more information. So the Time Stone is big, the Power Stone. I'm curious what kind of Thanos list they're running. We won't know for a little while. Could be a Destroy, could be a Lockdown, could be any number of things. The last location is Kamar Taj, which unfortunately for them comes a turn too late. Let's go ahead and Lockjaw rotate our Wasp. We have a potential double Iceman. Odin could flip, Hulk, Magneto. Some really good pulls in Kamar Taj. Actually, wait. That was almost bad, you guys. Lockjaw's going to yank into Asher and M. So we need to play Wasp and Lockjaw into Asher and M. That is what we're going to go ahead and do. Let's go ahead and rotate our card. I am going to snap into it because this is, like I said, one of the ideal hands. We have one bad flip of Iceman. Even that's not the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world would just not be drawing our Lockjaw, Iceman, Wasp, Thor. And in this game, we have all of them. And so the Wasp, they play a Khazar, so they're wanting to keep these on the board. We don't have to work. And there's the Iceman that I spoke of. And then we could do like a double drain of Jubilee here, where it's going to pull 2 cards and then Jubilee would yank into mid. I think instead though, we're gonna do something kind of weird. We're gonna do Thor, which will pull into Asher and M, but it will trigger 2 times into Kamar Taj first. And then next turn we do have the Jane Foster, so we'll be able to draw both of those out. And Cosmo comes into Asteroid M, but playing Thor into a different lane is going to protect it. We don't have to worry about the Honor Vills. I assume that this is now the Spectrum list that we thought it was earlier, and we are perfectly fine with the Cosmo because we're going to have Mjolnir, maybe Mjolnir and Odin. If it looks like we can go that path, I would probably rather do like Mjolnir plus Dr. Doom to fill up both lanes and impact both lanes. Or all 3 lanes, rather. But either way, we're going to go Jane Foster here. They go with a Professor X, and we are just hitting them at every turn of the game, it seems. They could have Spectrum. A double trigger of Spectrum is going to buff this up quite a bit. But that is all that they can drop into Kamar Taj. They could also have a Jeff. But is Jeff big enough? I don't think he is. We could do Magneto to... not here. We could do Magneto to pull their Khazar, pull their Cosmo over into Kamartaj. But I don't think that's worth it. If they're going to fight for a lane, they're going to fight for Kamartaj. Actually, that's our biggest play. We could do Odin, which then re-triggers this 4 times, and this goes down further, and it's not counterable by Shang-Chi. Let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Okay, no, we get the retreat. This Thor was gonna be massive. This lane was gonna be completely protected. They also probably wouldn't get the Spectrum bonus by pulling the Cosmo into this lane. We will take the 2. That's an early lead. That is very different from our last match. Let's see if we can hold that advantage and continue pressing it. That is going to be a snap. We know they have Professor X, Cosmo, Khazar. We have our Lockjaw and Wasp on turn 1. They could get some advantage in the raft. That's fine. That's not what I'm playing for. I'm playing for the fact that we're going to be able to get through just about our entire deck. If they play for this lane, they're going to have to cap it out relatively early, giving us a very specific amount of power that we have to overcome. We get our Jane Foster as well, so we'll be able to pull our 0-cost cards back out. They have a Lizard. I'm wondering if they have Luke Cage somewhere. Luke Cage would make a lot of sense in this deck. They could do a Cosmo here just to spite us. Anything played into the Bifrost will eventually move into the Fisk Tower, so we have to play for left or far right here. They play just a Mr. Fantastic, which is Mr. Fine with us. We will go ahead and double afflict them with Wasp. If they don't get their Luke Cage, hopefully they don't, then we'll be good. We pull out the Hulk, and we have the Jubilee. We pull right back into the Wasp. So we are going to be able to cap out this location early. Let's go ahead and do that. Play our High Evolutionary into Fisk Tower. All of this will shift over. We'll have the free resource from the raft that I wasn't expecting to get. And I think all will be well. I think all will be well with this one. Ooh, they don't even fight for the raft. Oh. And then it gives us Giganto like it likes to do. It gives us Giganto, but we're going to move the cards from the left lane into mid. We get the free Giganto in the process. Beautiful value for us. We also get Thor down on the board. Ooh, Triskelion is interesting. And then Cosmo comes down as well. So we get Silk from the Triskelion, which is pretty big. We won't be able to do Mjolnir here, but that's fine. I don't think they're going to be able to overcome this lane or come back from this lane for that matter. This lane, we know we have the massive Giganto. So let's go ahead and do Jane Foster. Maybe it's Magneto in this lane on the last turn. Magneto here, Giganto over here. That's just a lot of power across the board. It's going to be so hard for them to come back and win this one now. Which is one of the main reasons we wanted to snap early. They get a MODOK. That's a lot of power in the Triskelion, my friend. We didn't have enough hand space for the Jane Foster. We should have prioritized other things, it looks like. Let's go Magneto. Let's go Giganto. We do Wasp here for good measure. If they do a Spectrum for some reason. No, Spectrum wouldn't win them anything. Professor X wouldn't win them anything. Couldn't really do much here. 12 is going to put us 2 ahead. Wasp. Okay. I don't think we need it in the left. I think, if anything, we need it in the right. Let's go ahead and lock in the right lane. We get the second retreat. We are now up by 4. Let's continue to press that advantage. Hopefully we can pull this one out. That first game has me on edge. It was so back and forth and so intense that we were down early and then staged a comeback. Hopefully we can hold this one down against Ricochet. The first location is the Isle of Silence, which is fine for us, not necessarily great for the opponent. We have our Wasp and Jubilee, and so if we can draw into Lockjaw, that's going to be a snap there as well. They do have Space Stone. They can Reality Stone this left lane. Potentially Vormir is going to be okay, I guess, for our Jubilee. Let's go ahead and press the advantage. We draw into our Lockjaw, and that is all the confirmation that we needed. Jubilee will be okay in Vormir. It'll clear up some space. It'll dig deeper into our deck. Plus, we have the rotation of the Lockjaw. We've already drawn our Iceman so that we have no potential bad flips next round. And so we do get the 1 cube retreat. We are getting that much closer to the high stakes rounds. We are now halfway through our Ricochet battle, hopefully at round 4. Let's see if we can keep the good luck going. Lockjaw and Thor in our opening hand is beautiful. Olympia lets us draw even deeper into our deck. We don't have our Wasp, but we also have some really good cards left in our deck. What do they snap for here? I think we stay and push this. We have our Lockjaw. We have a really good chance of drawing into our Wasp. We have a 2 out of 5 chance of drawing into our Wasp by turn 3 to use alongside our Lockjaw. They do have some Mind Stones, so they're going to get deep into their deck here. Los Diablo Space is perfectly fine. We don't draw into our Wasp. We have a 1 out of 4 chance now. Not the end of the world, but I really thought we were going to draw into Wasp with how much and how deep we've gotten into our deck. So they play their Lizard. I assume that Luke Cage is present. Oh my god. Atilin just obliterates them. Potentially. Los Diablo Space could destroy Atilin, right? They could Reality Stone Atilin as well. All right, we're going to do Lockjaw. We're going to do Wasp rotation. We have Jubilee to play next turn. Maybe we also have Thor if we want to, depending on what we flip into here. That is, okay, they do change the right lane, which is perfectly fine. This is now a 4-cube high-stakes game. They draw into a lot of cards. I think they are almost capped out. Yeah, they're not going to draw next turn. Let's see. Let's see if we can hold this one down. They do have a lot of their lower cost resources. I assume the Spectrum is probably at the top of their mind. We get through most of our deck. We still have some really good resources left. We have the Hulk. We have Chavez. Yes, we have two resources left. If we could still free rotate, we absolutely would do a double rotation here. But since we can't, actually, no. Can. I think this is one of the rare scenarios where we want to dig through our entire deck. They haven't used Time Stone, so they don't have 5 energy here. So we're free to pull one of these cards, and then Wasp is going to rotate into the other one. We're guaranteed to pull into our Wasp next turn. We could even do Thor and then a rotation next turn to get Mjolnir out on the board. It's not bad. I think this may be where we break Ricochet. This is a lot tougher, just mentally, than the control deck, because you're in control with the control deck. This one, there's a lot of elements up in the air. We don't have any more cards left in our deck. The Spectrum here is big, but here we're locked in. They could do a Professor X in this lane. So let's do... I don't know if we want to cap out this lane or not. Professor X here is not going to be fantastic. We'd be able to overcome that. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and cap out. We're going to go ahead and cap out the middle location. We'll draw back into our Wasp. Next turn, we can do Wasp plus Magneto. Wasp plus Magneto to hopefully swing the Hell's Kitchen back in our favor. They move Soulstone. Oh, wait! They Professor X the Hell's Kitchen. Oh, no. Brutal. It's brutal, my friend. They move the Soulstone. They play one card here. It has to be Professor X. Ah, that was well played. No, it's Devil Dino. Okay. Okay. Devil Dino we're a little bit more comfortable into. Kind of. 12. Is that okay? 2, 3, 4, 5. They still haven't played Time Stone. Their Thanos is not 20. They could play a card and draw a card. This is going to put us to 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm not sure if we do this or if we do like a Magneto over in the left lane. I like the idea of going to the right, though. Let's see. Maybe they just do one big powerhouse play. So Valkyrie. They do go with the Valkyrie. We swing the right lane back in our favor. They swing the left. They go for the Valkyrie surprise burst play. I'm glad that we decided to go up against the odds and find a way to overcome the right location, even though it did not look very likely. We will secure round 2 of our Gold Conquest mode in 4 rounds. We had all of our health, but I felt like every single round we could have potentially lost had it been played just a little bit different. So let's go ahead and we will see the animation for battle 2, and we are about to jump straight into the third battle. All right, let's queue up for the third match. We're going to be running the exact same deck all the way throughout. Here's to hoping we have an easy opponent on this last one. Ooh, Vigil. They don't have an avatar. They don't have a title. Is it bad that I'm hoping for just like an easy bot? The first location is Richochet. We have our Thor. Pretty good early game resource. The Thor, Jubilee, Jane Foster are all fantastic. I do like the games where we're able to rotate with Lockjaw into something like Doctor Doom, because then we can always smash that with an Odin later to go incredibly wide with this deck. We now get our Lockjaw. We have our Lockjaw, but no Wasp. So depending on what we draw into next turn, could determine how we play this one. If we get our Wasp, then maybe we do Jubilee and then Wasp rotation. If we get Iceman, I'd be comfortable doing a double rotation with the Jubilee in the Lockjaw lane just to get some tempo going. If we draw into anything higher than that, ooh, we draw into our Iceman. So we do want to do the Jubilee into this. Worst case scenario, it pulls one Wasp. Not the end of the world. I guess different scenario, it pulls into Odin, into another card with Jubilee, and then rotates, and so it just clears up the rest of our deck. They've done Zabu, so I assume that this is like a rock Hawk deck, maybe. And we are gonna rotate our Jubilee back into our deck. We're gonna pull out some of our cards. And so yeah, it is the Rock Hawk. They go with a Korg. They have Hawk in the right lane. We get Magneto to yank their Mr. Fantastic to the right. What do we rotate into? Can we avoid the Rock? Oh wow, we avoid the Rock. We avoid the Wasp as well. Beautiful, beautiful value. If we go Jane Foster here, my only hesitation with going Jane Foster here is that it makes it where we can't draw going to this last turn. We could, instead, we could go with something like Rhino from the Camp Lehi into Richochet to make sure we're not generating any additional junk into our hand. We could rotate a card if we want to. It's kind of scary knowing that we have the Jubilee and the Wasp. The two potentially bad flips. Jubilee pulling here would just be, it'd be a dead card. It'd be worse than Wasp, honestly. I am going to go ahead and try it. We have the Rhino in the left lane to protect from getting additional rocks in our deck. We have Iceman to hopefully disrupt them a little bit. Can we get like an, okay, High Evolutionary is good. We are okay with High Evolutionary. The Iron Man comes down. They could do a Chavez here, which would just obliterate this lane so dramatically. The Zabu allows them to do 2 3-cost cards here. So they could do Mystique and something else. I oddly enough think we're going to try to come over the top of them in Monster Metropolis. I don't know if it's the best play, but we should have the highest power card here regardless. And so we're going to get an extra +3. That brings us to, that takes them 3 down. So actually 6 down. Let's try it. They do fight for the right and the middle location. The Shang-Chi comes down, which I thought might be in the deck. It is good to know that that is there. This last one is a Killmonger, taking out, oh my gosh, their Korg and leaving them with only 10 power in Monster Metropolis. We are able to hold down the left lane with just Rhino. We're able to hold down the mid against an Iron Man, mind you. That is an early 4-cube lead. Let's go ahead and take the win, win where we can, and we'll jump into the next one. Knowing that they have the rocks, if they can get that down, if they can get them down early and often, it disrupts our ability to draw consistently. But they have Luke Cage as well. Interesting for the Luke Cage. I guess that's just a tech against High Evolutionary. We have Lockjaw, we have Thor. Let's go ahead and play. Go ahead and play Thor. The Vibranium Mines is unfortunate. Like it just keeps slapping us in the face with things that don't do well against Hawk. And so we'll have to rely on a Doctor Doom and an Odin to be able to reach the Vibranium Mines. Ooh. Oh my gosh. So our Thor is going to be too big. So that is a prime location for Shang-Chi. We do have Lockjaw, we have Mjolnir, both of which are going to be copied, duplicated. We can just continue to rotate as often as we want to. Okay, into the Odin. So we're not going to be able to do double wide into Vibranium Mines, unfortunately. They have Rock Slide. They'll be able to play another Rock Slide. They'll be able to lean into like Org a couple of times here. It's a little bit scary. And the more times we rotate the Mjolnir, the more of them are in our deck. And the more that are duplicated, and so I don't know. This lane, with the Vibranium Mines, we get really constricted into these two locations. And being constricted into two locations is bad for the Thor, knowing they have a Shang-Chi somewhere. We get Jane Foster, we pull into, oh my gosh. We're not going to draw this turn because we have so many Mjolnirs. They play another Rock Slide. They have Zabu on the board. If they play Hawk, we could always try to maybe cap them out in the Elysium lane. I don't know. Like, none of our plays feel good. Playing into the Vibranium Mines is scary against this play. Rotating anymore is also very scary. We just not play for a round? I'm not going to play. We're not going to draw, but we're also not going to play and diminish our deck any. Okay, so they do have the Hawk in the right lane. They have one more Rock Slide. I'm surprised they haven't snapped, though. We may have lost that round, but I consider only losing one cube to that a victory. We got some information about their deck. We know they have the Killmonger, the Hawk, Shang-Chi, so many Rock Slides, which, if they can get them down before we start rotating, is big. Otherwise, we can usually capitalize and get some of our big power plays out early and not have to worry about the rocks as much. That's like the third game in a row that they've had Korg on turn 1, which is beautiful when you're running a deck or running up against a Lockjaw rotation. We don't have our Lockjaw here, so if I was them in this scenario, I snap. Knowing that we're going to shuffle in a handful of cards into our deck, and they have Wave? Wild. The Wave is wild. It does allow us to do Dr. Doom. We can then later do an Odin on top of it to send it, to trigger it again. But we shuffled a lot of cards into our deck. The Wave into Odin, or Wave and Leader into the Dr. Doom is big. We already have our Wasps, so the Jane Foster doesn't do a lot for us, but I think we are going to play it into the right lane. That way, even if the Doombot, which I kind of hope it does, if the Doombot goes here, great. We can then hit this with an Odin to re-trigger, put more power here, and cap out this left lane. We have the Wasp, negatively afflict whatever they play into the Strange Academy. Depending on what resources they drew back into, though, like, this deck is kind of wild that we're facing against. They have some protection against really tall cards. Ooh, wait, okay. They're killing they're clearing the Killmongers, which makes a lot of sense. They now go with the Zabu. So Hawk plus Shang-Chi as a potential last turn play. Hawk plus Mystique as a potential last turn play. We do get, okay, we already have the lead and the win here. So do we even do Odin? Or is it more beneficial to do this? I feel like we're going to do this. The Hawk, okay, and the Shang-Chi. Not going to be big enough. Not going to be big enough, my friend. We are able to hold down the left and the right lane, giving us an advantage. I know that we're winning. After that, I feel like the first match shook my confidence because we're winning this. We are retreating whenever it's strategic, whenever we know we are at a disadvantage. Otherwise, we're doing really good about getting good draws, about winning. I still feel like at any moment we could just lose, though. And that is one of the things that I'm really enjoying about Conquest mode, is that it's just, I don't know, it's so much more competitive than ladder. Like, I go back to ladder and I'm like, oh. When I see someone snap, or when I see something where we don't necessarily have an advantage, like it feels almost, I don't know, at post infinite on the ladder, it feels like we're not playing the same game anymore. It could be because the more competitive people right now, at least, are in Conquest. I don't know. Only time will tell. I think we go ahead and play our Iceman, right? We want to hit, if we can hit their Zabu, if we can hit their Hawk. I have Korg again. What is this? So many Korg games, my friend. I don't enjoy it either. I mean, we're holding it down. We're doing fine. But Korg on 1 that many times is insane. There's no way you have a Chavez in this deck, right? And we didn't hit the Zabu either with the Iceman. Oof. Danger Room comes down. Ooh, huge value for us. We're not too worried about Danger Room. We have Dr. Doom that can reach over there. But drawing the Wasp here was huge. We have one bad flip of the rock. Otherwise, it is all upside. So we are going to snap, press the advantage where we can. We have an Iron Lad. Okay, so we know the next card that they're going to draw is Killmonger. We're fine. We're fine against the Killmonger. The only thing we have in the deck that gets hit by that is Iceman. And so we're okay. It is good to know that they have the Iron Lad. A rock, what? All right, but that's the only rock in our deck so far. So, Jubilee here pulls out a resource. Wasp here rotates one. We have all good pulls in this lane, so I think we're okay with that. They snap back because we flipped into one dud. That's the only dud in our deck right now. They could have a rock slide, so we'll send a couple more. There's a few chances that we pull into those, but we are digging 2 cards into our deck here. And so even though there's 2 bad rotations, bad drops, we have the Odin, beautiful, in the Danger Room, which then pulls our Thor, generating some more garbage in our deck, unfortunately. But Wasp comes down, it's going to hit the Jane Foster and pull the Mjolnir out, right? Is that what it's going to... I promise this is in real time. I know that that doesn't look like it's in real time because that was absurd, but it is. I mean, do we cap this lane out? We don't want to play our Thor just yet. I say we draw our Chavez next turn and then we just unleash Havoc. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. We've seen every card except for one, so if it's a Professor X, wild. I don't think even a Professor X could save them now. Everything we have is protected from a Shang-Chi at this point in time. And so if they're relying on a last turn Shang-Chi, it's gonna be a tough day for them. Yeah, Iron Man into Wakanda is big. They could go, maybe their last card is Mystique. I doubt it with the Iron Lad. Most Iron Lad decks don't like running Mystique. Let's go Wasp rotation here. That's going to be good at negatively afflicting this lane substantially. We have the chance of pulling into Hulk or Doctor Doom, both of which are fine, actually. And then we have the Mjolnir and the Magneto to pull their Rock Slide over. Beautiful. I think this one is in the bag. The Jubilee into Odin into Thor into a rotation of Jane Foster was just... couldn't have asked for anything better. After that first round, it was touch and go after that first round. So they have a Killmonger, and they give up the middle location, and so the Wasp is enough to hold it down as long as we don't flip into a rock. We flip into a rock. Oh no! So we're tied in the middle location. We have to win the point differential now, which I think we do with the Oh, actually no, we're pulling the rock side. I apologize, guys. We do hold down the middle and the right lane. We lose Atlantis just ever so slightly. And so even though this Hawk deck looks like it's very cohesive, very solid, we were able to, one, get kind of lucky on a few of the matches, but also we were able to play it strategically enough where we weren't hanging too much for them to grab with the Shang-Chi play. And so we will take the gold victory. That is infinite ticket number 2 on this account. I have 1 on my other account. We will gladly take it. We have... And this one is our ticket to infinite. If the gold conquests are this intense, I can only imagine how nerve-wracking the infinity tier is going to be for 5 complete games. And so we have I think enough to buy everything in the shop right now. Well, let's go ahead and do it on this account. Not bad, Moon Knight. We have that on our primary account. We get a free silver ticket. We get Hulky is awesome. We have our boosters. We have our gold. All of these are only purchasable once. Next week, further in the shop will unlock, and then on the final week, it will unlock further. I plan on buying absolutely everything, and then probably having extras for the repeatable purchases at the very bottom. But we are going to go ahead and end the video here. It felt so intense, but High Evolutionary Lockjaw is one of those decks that it can pump out an absurd amount of power. You are susceptible to RNG, bad draws, but if you can play it strategically, you can retreat for low cube losses and maximize your cube gains, then a lot of times you can find ways to hold it down. We are going to go ahead and end the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.